Aloha, this is Aja Eyre. I'm coming to you with the Maui Pono Network weekly update. This is the week of August 26th, 2024. Today is actually Tuesday, the 27th. We welcome you. We hope you are healthy and well and that you were safe this last weekend during the storms and that you're well prepared for any storms we might be getting this week. So we don't want to talk too much about election or campaigns this week, even though we are heading right into our campaign season, but we do want to talk about elections. Today there was a meeting of the State Election Commission. And it was an open meeting and people were allowed to testify and give comment about their concerns about how elections are held here in the state of Hawaii. I think you might be aware that the news came out that this was the least voted in primary election in Hawaii's history, according to percentages. So we had the lowest percentage turnout for the primary. And people are concerned. Some people might say that the low turnout is because there's not a lot of trust in the elections. It could just be because our system is antiquated. But the real big concerns that were coming up with the comments and the testimonies today were about the accountability of the election. So as you should be aware, Hawaii state is a mail-in paper ballot state now. So we have polls that are open, but everyone is mailed a ballot and are invited to return that ballot via mail. And then the ballots are counted and the numbers are distributed between the different parties that count electronically on the internet. And one of the big things that Maui Pono Network is asking for is that the counting machines in the county, so the county's counting machines, say that 10 times fast, that those are not hooked up to the internet and that we're allowed to count the ballots after the state does their count. And then we can match those numbers up, make sure they're the same. And we feel that that would be a big step in the right direction for accountability and honesty. And it takes away one area where there could be interference electronically by hackers, the outside influences, or inside influences electronically. A lot of those comments, though, too, went so far as to say that we needed to get back away from paper ballots, from the mail-in ballots, and we needed to go back to in-person voting. That's been a big concern of a lot of the people here in the state. They feel that not only is going to the polls and voting a good community activity, it's a time to see your neighbors, it's time to just feel like you're doing your civic duty, but also that it, again, takes away areas where there could be interference in the elections. So how do you feel about it? Join the conversation. You can join us on Facebook or other places. Email us. Let us know what you think about that. And we'll still be watching this story as it unfolds and what decisions and what votes happen in the Election Commission based on the testimony today. There were over 100 testifiers at that commission meeting. So this is a big concern for the people of our state. Another thing that's been happening this week, we are still watching closely kind of the fallout of some of the decisions made in the county council's Great Committee. That's like the government ethics. I can't remember what it all stands for. But this commission is supposed to help fill positions on the commissions and boards. So commissions and boards are usually staffed by community members, and then they give guidance to the government on how decisions should be made and how things should roll out. So for example, the Planning Commission is one of the most powerful and most important commissions here in the county of Maui. And right now there is not a representative from South Maui on that Planning Commission. Now, according to the charter amendments that were voted in a few years ago and are now part of our law, commissions and boards are supposed to be filled using a community selection committee that submits names, and then the mayor takes those names and then they go to the county council. And that has just really not been functioning. This has been a real challenge. Insofar that there have been a few months ago, the mayor submitted names for the Planning Commission and they were supposedly not received on time, although our sources say that they were received on time, and the Great Commission decided to not accept those names, put their own names forward. There's a lot of political jockeying in the way the system is working right now, or not working right now, we should say. And the Maui Pono Network asks that the county uphold its own constitution, its own laws, the county charter, and get the selection committee functioning, make sure that there's a good system for getting these boards and commissions filled, and that there's equal representation of the different areas of the county on these boards and commissions, especially when it's such an important and powerful commission like the Planning Commission. We should have representatives from all the areas of the islands, because the decisions that are made in that commission directly affect those areas. And without representation, that is not a democratic process for them to have those decisions weigh down on them. So again, continue to watch that. We're looking for some inside information. There's been some lawsuits filed on that. A lot of that's been closed, those lawsuits, so we don't have all the information, but we're looking for more, and we'll get back to you. And then we want to talk too about the debates and the upcoming community campaign events. So in your community, there might be candidate events coming up. We encourage you to go to those on Zoom or in person, and to ask hard questions. And the questions, and Maui Pono Network is putting together a paper where we can kind of give you some ideas of some questions if you want to take those with you if you go in person to those events. But a really good thing to ask at the debates and the events is, where are you getting your funding? Who is funding your campaign? Because we are finding that the way that people vote, and this is like not news, this has been happening for hundreds of years since we've had democracy. The way people vote has a lot to do with who is supporting their campaign. So this is money for them to get elected, and then those people have the ear of that elected official. So it's important to follow, where is the money coming from when they campaign. And if you feel like you're seeing a lot of signs and you're hearing a lot of radio ads from a candidate, that's great, but that also means that they're getting a lot of money, which means they have a lot more influence coming in. So just be mindful. Don't be totally bowled over by this. Don't be influenced by the wrong influencers, is another way to say it. And ask those hard questions at those community events. All right, well, the last thing I'd like to say is we do have voter registration. It's open right now here in the county. And at the Maui Film Festival that's happening this weekend, Labor Day holiday weekend, I think that's Thursday through Monday, Maui Pono Network will have a table there. If you are not registered to vote, or someone you know or love is not registered to vote, invite them to come over to that table. We'll help you get set up. We have a QR code to help you go through the whole process. Relatively easy process. I just found out myself that my 20-year-old son had not registered to vote yet. So there might be people in your own house that aren't registered to vote. So it's a good time to ask those questions. Help your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews, help them get registered if they're just coming of age. And we're gonna have a great election season this year. I feel like the county of Maui is really geared and primed up to participate in this democratic process. So we invite you to learn as much as you can, be an informed voter, and we look forward to seeing you next week on these updates. Thanks.